Good morning, everyone. In today's lesson, we will be learning about types of plagiarism. And I will be presenting to you the Readers of the Month and the Star Readers Awardee for the third quarter. So, my dear students, sit back, relax, listen, and watch the video.
Some words students use to describe plagiarism include cheating, copying someone's work, dishonest, and claiming credit for someone's work that's not yours. A lot of these are correct, but plagiarism is much more than that. I hope this workshop helps you avoid plagiarism once we talk about it a little bit more. Let's start by talking about a few different types of plagiarism. Here are the top 5 from Turnitin White Paper Plagiarism Spectrum. Number 1, cloning. Cloning involves submitting another's work word for word as your own. I think of it as turning in someone else's paper or homework assignment and just writing your name on it. You've basically taken a complete assignment or paper and turned it in as your own. Here's an example of cloning from Turnitin. As you can see, the entire text has been copied word for word without any quotations or given any credit to the original author. This is a blatant example of cloning plagiarism. The second type of plagiarism is Control-C. A Control-C is a written piece that contains significant portions of text from a single source without alteration. It is called Control-C because that is a shortcut on a PC computer that lets you copy text. This form of plagiarism is essentially copying and pasting your assignment paper or project without any citation, quotes, or credit to the author. Here's an example from Turnitin. As you can see, the majority of the student's work has been copied verbatim, without any credit to the author. It's amazing to see only 7 words have been changed in the student's work compared to the original source text. The third type of plagiarism is find and replace. With this type of plagiarism, a few key words and phrases are changed, but the essential content of the sources is remained. This form of plagiarism happens when you find something to put in your assignment and instead of copying it entirely, you just change a few key words. This is still considered plagiarism because you've taken someone else's ideas and not given them credit. Here's an example of find and replace plagiarism from Turnitin. You can see certain words have been replaced in the student's version, such as non-native instead of non-indigenous, and sacred instead of special. Without paraphrasing, using quotes, and adding citations, this is another obvious example of plagiarism. The fourth form of plagiarism is remixing. Remixing involves paraphrasing from other sources and making the content fit together seamlessly. Plagiarism happens when you don't give credit to a source you learned something from. For example, I'm a librarian. I don't know very much about astrophysics. If I was writing a paper on astrophysics, I would need to do research and cite my sources in the paper. All the information learned during my research would be new information that I need to cite. You always need to cite whether the information is in your words or the author's words. Here's an example of remixing plagiarism from Turnitin. Large portions of text are used word for word from the source text. It appears as though other sources were also used. The problem here is that the student has presented the information as their own. The student could have paraphrased, used quotes, and cited the information to avoid this problem. The fifth form of plagiarism is recycling. Recycling is the act of borrowing generously from one's own previous work without citation. Were you aware you can't reuse your previous work without prior approval by your professor? A lot of students are not aware of this. Being accused of plagiarism is an awful experience. We want you to be aware of the various forms of plagiarism so that you can avoid it. In this example from Turnitin, you can see that the student tried to reuse a previous assignment of theirs by just changing a few words. So if the problem is plagiarism, then the solution is not to plagiarize. But in the library, we see that a lot of students don't have the tools they need to avoid plagiarism. That's why we have this workshop. We are hoping that at the end of it, you'll have some tools to help you avoid plagiarism. Let's look at a typical situation. We're at the end of a research paper cycle where Elizabeth has turned in her paper and Professor Smith is reading it. Professor Smith teaches a basic writing class. Elizabeth is one of her students. As Professor Smith started grading Elizabeth's paper, she noticed that Elizabeth's writing still contained some errors that she hoped to fix before the end of the semester. In the middle of this paper, though, Professor Smith came across a paragraph that didn't fit with the rest. It was perfectly punctuated, used complex sentence structure, and included vocabulary she hadn't seen Elizabeth use before. What do you think Professor Smith found in Elizabeth's paper? A paragraph Elizabeth took from another student's paper. B, a paragraph Elizabeth got help with in the tutoring center. C, a paragraph that Elizabeth copied and pasted from another source. Or D, a paragraph that Elizabeth revised carefully.